The second try, again, incredible planning for the Tom Farrell try. Absolutely beautifully executed. And we spoke about the line out last week. The line out was 100%, and that line out in particular showed what you can do when you nail your line out. It was a thing of beauty, actually. A five-man line out, and they throw it just over the 15. James Ryan's actually up in the air just in front of Ty Byrne. You know, seven times out of 10, he probably gets a steal, but it's a perfect throw from Diarmuid Barron. Double tops with a dog bow, and I think it's John Ryan lifting, just beautifully executed off the top. And because they've invited Leinster forward even a little bit earlier there, they're herring forward. There's options outside Crowley with Gleeson and O'Donoghue. Dan Kelly's running over his line, but he knows exactly the space that he wants to kick because he knows that James Lowe, as Leinster defend, is going to be interested by Tacker Abraham swinging wider, and that'll hold him from turning back and potentially gathering the ball himself there. And he just puts it beautifully in ahead of where Jimmy O'Brien's coming. And even at that, it still takes him home to genius from Farrell just to bat the ball to himself. But again, there's a really clever kick. You look at the 3 points after, yes, just after half time, the penalty that Crowley kicks. Again, that's off a pretty masterful kick. Scrum ball on the left-hand side, just in their own half. Coughlin dummies into the short side, draws up Jimmy O'Brien up onto that side of the scrum, but actually passes the other side, and Crowley kicks back over the scrum in behind them. Now they're pressuring Leinster again. Really proactive kicking, and they get 3 points off it. And even the last try, actually, it's from kind of pretty wild Leinster, the penalty try, kind of wild Leinster play, but Crowley with a really classy left-footed kick in behind Prendergast kind of launches the period of pressure, and Munster score off the back of that. So I just thought it was such a big influence in the game. You're marrying physicality with tactical and technical execution. That's good rugby.
Yeah, I wanted Crowley to make like 18 or 19 tackles as well on top of that, which is a pretty rare figure for an out half. And actually, this game probably exemplified what makes him a very good player, Birch. And I think, I'm not sure, would you go as far as to say it's like the signature performance of his career so far? He may have had bigger. But probably like one of the knocks on him. All right, I thought it was interesting during the Premier broadcast, again, watching it back, Simon Zebo mentions that Crowley sticking to the script that the coaches give him will actually stand him in good stead. And privately, that's probably been a little bit of a knock on him within Ireland camp. Even within Munster, it's been a frustration of the coaches at times that he can be a little bit too much of an independent thinker. You think back to the start of this game where he has a couple of crossfield kicks that don't go to plan. One is collected by Osborne and could have been taken the other way. The other is blocked down, but that was part of the plan, is the point. Like, Munster would have known from watching the Bulls especially, I would say, that this is the way to exploit Leinster's defence. It felt as though he actually married his own kind of creativity and instinct with what was clearly the Munster game plan here, and produced a really nice performance. That probably augurs well for potential Irish selection, just the fact that it was such a mature performance, if that makes sense.
No, it was a masterful performance, and not without errors, but you don't try and do as much as he does and have a perfect game. I think he was outstanding, and more importantly, I think he just showed the character. I don't think anyone's ever questioned his character. No one's questioned his physical bravery. I don't think anyone questioned his ability to step people. You know, we saw examples of that from when Sam Prendergast kicked it to him early in the game, and he beats the first two tacklers, to when he potentially gets trapped up behind his own goal line and he steps away out of trouble. He's always had that from under 20s. The question marks around was exactly what you said, was ability to stick to the game plan. And as fans, we don't know what level he has stuck to it or not stuck to it, etc. But certainly that's some of the soundings, or reasons why they were having a really good look at Sam last year, was that potentially he was able to stick on task better. I think, to be fair to Jack, I think like sometimes last year he certainly wasn't playing it every week. I think he plays it every week. There's never a contest. But I think what's really impressive is, he half against Scarlets, full match against Cardiff, very, very good against Cardiff, probably the reason Munster won, a week off. And that's the match he has to just show he's the best, I think. It was a head to head, really, I felt. And, he performed at a level which is up there to as good a performance as he's put in a long time, and in a pressurized environment with a team who were, who were under the pump a little bit at times, a lot of time, and he defended and encouraged and relieved pressure and kicked that 3 points. That was massive. Sorry, the other question mark a little bit around him was goal kicking, percentages, whatever, right? And I think, that kick was an easy kick. That kick effectively meant if Munster could not concede quite quickly, it was going to be very hard for Leinster to catch him. So all in all, I thought it was a masterful performance and a coming of age, really, and under pressure with a young nine inside him. He hadn't played a lot with Dan Kelly and Tam Farrell as a combination, and I think everything he did showed that he has big match temperament. And I would be shocked if he's not starting against New Zealand. I think it'd be a very, very harsh call if he doesn't start against New Zealand based on form.
What's impressive is that he didn't get selected on the Lions tour that he would have been targeting at the start of last season. I'd say he saw that coming eventually. But instead of just kind of rolling into this season, he's come back, and I think everyone can see athletically looks in the best nick of his life. And you saw it in terms of how he beat people in the backfield. He did work very hard on his actual power and agility during his off season, working with Gordon Brett, who's been with Munster and Leinster and does a lot of that kind of rehab and return to play stuff, but is an expert on that kind of thing. And you can see it, I think, visibly. I mean, Crowley's always been able to beat defenders, but his agility looks even sharper. He looks, I think, very lean and also mentally he looks really confident, which is kind of weird given where he's coming from, having lost that Ireland 10 jersey, all this chat around him on the outside, which we've discussed. He looks very positive. He looks like he's enjoying it, and he looks confident, and he looks like a player who said, rather than let this challenge weigh on me and feel sulky and sorry for myself, I'm going to go and become a better player. So there's no choice for them to make. And if you base it on this one game, there's clearly no choice to make. We know that's not how international coaches select, but I think it's been a really positive start to the season. Obviously, the challenge is doing it consistently and doing it when you step up another level. But again, he's shown he can more than do that for Munster and for Ireland. So he's ticking lots of boxes. You're right. Again, even around the kicking stuff, we've described how he's nailing his team's plan really well. Defensively, he's got a massive point of difference to most tens there. He's an excellent defender. His attitude is really top. And then technically he's good. He's really good at dipping late. So it looks, even in situations where there's a big carrier coming his way, you think, oh, he could lose this collision. He dips late and he surprises them and he bangs and he gets in there on their ties. Technically really good. And as his tackle count, I mean, he's up near 20, just dogged and hardworking in that regard. His kicking obviously was excellent as well. So there's lots of different things to like. But I think that mindset and the response that's so evident is probably the most impressive thing. And someone like Andy Farrell, like that's what he respects more than anything almost. Is like, I've challenged you, I've put someone else in a 10. Let's see if this is the making of you. And it could be, last season could be the making of him. And again, like we spoke about the head-to-head, he absolutely, there's no doubt about him dominating in this game. It wasn't a good performance from Sam Prendergast. And actually, let's contrast the kicking. Because you think Leinster made such a good start to this game. What happened? Like, you get 7-0 up and you're rolling. Why can't you put the pressure on? And the reason is, I mean, straight off the Kelleher try, they make a shocking exit. Prendergast just kind of hangs the ball up on his own 10-meter line. It's not contestable. It's a strange kick because there's kind of no method to it. And Crowley, you'll remember, gathers it on the 10-meter line and he's straight over. I mean, Leinster are under immediate pressure and he offloads and Farrell offloads, and then that Smith chip in behind 5-meter line out Munster straight after a try. It's disastrous stuff in terms of exit. Then Munster miss that and Leinster get their third scrum penalty of the day after 12 minutes in their 22, and Prendergast misses touch. He's going for a big one down the right side, but unfortunately it's an error, and then bang, pressure back on them again. And that never really lets up until Gleeson scores. So I think Leinster will be really self-critical of that. We got a good start and we didn't follow up, because like, what's a try without a good exit after? It's nothing really if you're immediately under pressure. So they'll be disappointed with that. And I think that's a major frustration for them and their game leaders, is that when they got a good start, they didn't double down on that. I just felt like watching it, they made the good start and then there's almost a bit of hubris about it. They're forcing these offloads unnecessarily, balls on the ground, and they're allowing Munster to bring the quality that they brought. But just jumping back around to the 10 thing, yeah, Crowley was excellent. And it wasn't just this game. He's played really well in all the games so far this season. And you'd have to think he's put himself in pole position. Still wouldn't shock me if Andy Farrell picked Sam Prendergast, because he's backed him massively and they clearly see a lot in him. But there's no more compelling way that Crowley could have stated his case.